Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
So, Andy, we're doing one of your video requests today. So it's I am Maiden, and
Iron Maiden.
in Maiden, and Stratego. I can't speak. You can talk about it. Go on, Andy. Tell us what we're doing.
We're doing Stratego from the latest Maiden album, Senjutsu. We've just been chatting off camera as to why I picked this one. Yeah, we could have gone back in the day and picked a classic Maiden track and talked about, but we've all know it, we've all seen it, and everybody else knows and has seen it. This particular one, as I said, is from the latest album, and I wasn't blown away by the album. Recently made material, I haven't been blown away. I'm going back to sort of 2003, and Dance of Death was the last one I really enjoyed. That'll be controversial and split the fans, I'm sure, but I haven't seen this. I've only heard the song a couple of times, so it's almost reviewing it as seeing something brand new as a non-fan of Iron Maiden. I mean, I've grown up with them. When I first got into metal at the age of 10, Number of the Beast album had just been was just coming out to be released, and I bought the single, went back and got Killers and Iron Maiden, and I've got everything ever since. But I can't say I've enjoyed everything I've ever released, especially in the last sort of 15 years or so. Book of Souls was a great album compared to the predecessors. Senjutsu, I haven't given it enough time, so it'd be interesting to see what I think of the song, hearing it and seeing it as a live version along with yourselves.
Okay, Kirk, have you heard the latest Maiden album?
No, I got somebody else to review it for Scream Blast Repeat just because of
delegate.
Because I've never been a big listener to the back catalogue, but they're so important that we couldn't avoid reviewing them, could we? So and she gave it a glowing review from what I remember.
I mean, I think the last Iron Maiden track that I listened to as it came out, and I haven't listened to anything since then, was probably Brave New World.
Oh, I remember when that came out. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And I really enjoyed it, but then I never felt invested enough to actually check out anything since then. It's a kind of I will listen to Iron Maiden, but I'll listen to back catalogues of Fear of the Dark and Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter and Run to the Hills and Can I Play with Madness, and I will listen to all the big single hits and stuff like that, but I wouldn't probably go out and get a new one. So I'm actually very intrigued to see what this sounds like. So let's go check it out. One.
Voice of nothing, listen far too long.
Oi, you right? Goes off his old Brummy accent. Okay, who wants to? Kirk, you can go first on this one.
How can you dislike that song if you're a metalhead? Is the question straight away? Oh, okay, that'll be.
There you go. But yeah, I'll shave it for my fault on this one.
Well, we already know this is going. That's fun. Yeah, I'm surprisingly never really bothered with Iron Maiden. Obviously, respect their influence. They are the quintessential heavy metal band, and I use that term pre-1983 when you've got thrash and different subgenres cropping up, and we start to just use the umbrella term metal. But that anachronistic term heavy metal, they define it, don't they? I'm astounded by just how commercially successful this band is. When I say astounded, I'm not surprised. It's just, this is just another level, isn't it? When they play Brazil and Argentina and countries like that, they are playing to over 100,000 people, and literally, as you saw there, everybody in the crowd is singing to the lyrics. So that to me, Iron Maiden's just been really heavy rock music with virtuoso guitar shredding, and that bass, fucking hell, is there a better bass player in metal? I mean, how he does that without a plectrum, that gallop, it's so iconic, isn't it? And so influential. What I get from that song is that you just realize that power metal is a European phenomenon, and you can blame Iron Maiden for that because they're huge in Germany and Northern Europe. Those bands grew up on Iron Maiden, and they were still playing that type of music in the 90s, and obviously power metal is now a strong subgenre in its own right, and it's down to one band, Iron Maiden. One last thing I would say, Bruce definitely suits the top knot. Steve Harris, his love of West Ham United, he's got the West Ham United wristband, he's got a fucking West Ham United vest on while he's playing. Great live performance. I thought the vocals were a bit croaky at the beginning. I was like, is this Bruce Dickinson? But you're not going to be able to sing as high in that register the older you get. But yeah, I thought that was a rocking tune. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I'll go next and let Andy wrap up your thoughts on it afterwards. But there was nothing wrong with the track, but there wasn't anything to stand out about it. And you've got to remember, Iron Maiden have got such a big back catalogue. When you're going to put a single out and you're doing a live performance video, this should be something to get people new. So if I was not an Iron Maiden fan and I came and watched this video, would this be enough to make me want to go and see Iron Maiden? It wouldn't. And I'm surprised they put this out, especially as it's a live video. I had to turn the volume up a little bit on the video because it was very quiet at the beginning. But I felt that the overall sound with 3 guitars felt very thin from a live performance, because you can always do it in post-mix. You can always sort that out and get a bit more depth and tone, etc. I picked up about the vocals. So Bruce Dickinson's 64. They do a huge run of shows. So his voice is going to get tired, and that's what it sounded like to me. His voice is just tired out. So it might be midway through a tour somewhere. He doesn't sound fresh. He didn't hit any bad notes or anything like that, and I didn't hear his voice break at any point, but he just sounded it felt like he needed to get an aspirin inhaler at some point through it, because it just sounded like he had like a little bit of congestion on his chest that kept going through. So it just sounded a little bit like, as you said, a little bit raspy at points. So it's not a video I would have put out to try to get people to come and watch them. But for me, I see Iron Maiden as a nostalgia band now. I don't see them needing to put new material out. They could quite easily go out and do headline all the festivals, and people would come out and watch them play a greatest hits set, and they could be comfortable doing that and let them do little side projects. I think doing tours like they're doing, where they're doing these big long tours, and I mean they're all in their 60s. They looked knackered on stage. Even watching them perform, they didn't have that. Well, Janet Gers, he does. He just goes like a spinning top all the time on his guitar, but you can see they enjoyed it, but I don't think they necessarily need to go out and do those big long tours anymore, because I think they've got to be careful about burnout and writing a new album. What are they gonna change? It just sounds like another galloping along Iron Maiden track, and we've had lots of those. So we've talked about in previous videos, is there any progression? Now people will say, as a 60-year-old band, not that they've been going for 60 years, but in their 60s, are they going to be really looking to make a nice next change? Are they going to suddenly go off and go in a completely new direction? Of course not. They're just doing what the fans need. But I think they could go out and do touring purely on a nostalgia factor without having to put out a new album. And I don't know why they are putting new albums out if it's going to be just more of of the old sort of stuff. So that's just kind of my thought on it. I'd have much rather probably heard the album version, because that album version probably would have made me feel a bit different. I think the live performance wasn't great for me, but I don't know what, Andy, you can wrap this up.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said, David. I mean, I wasn't excited when Senjutsu was announced and the sort of the Writing on the Wall single came out. I wasn't blown away with that. Having listened to it just a couple of times, Stratego is one of the better tracks, but as you alluded to, it's a typical Iron Maiden gallop along bass-led sort of song, and it's almost could it be a follow-up to True? But I don't know the lyric. I don't know the lyrics, but the title indicates that perhaps it could be. Bruce was struggling a little bit. I have seen much better live performances, but as you say, he's 64, been doing it best part of 50 years, and as we know, we've discussed other bands who are legends and still going, the vocals do suffer a little bit. I mean, as I said, I'm old school Maiden, to be honest. I'd be quite happy, as you said, David, going on a greatest hits tour. They've done those in the past, I think, haven't they? They've sort of selected certain periods of the career and just played those live, which would bring them the same success and the same credit from the fans. Be interesting to find out how many people are craving out for new Maiden material when they've got such a fantastic sort of career back catalogue. I'm certainly not blown away by the new stuff. Kirk, perhaps you can sort of add to what does a three guitarist bring to that? Because I've never seen that since Adrian Smith's been brought back. What does that bring? It's just almost like, well, we'd like him back. We don't really need him, but let's put him in anyway. Do you know what I mean? Is that? Can you add any more to that, or am I being a bit unfair?
When did he come back into the band?
I don't know. Probably,
Brave New World.
Because they're the most famous band in metal, aren't they, for having that three-pronged attack. There's very few bands that do that. The band do that. Can I just I just want to raise something. I'm going to ask a question to you two. Surely the reason why they don't want to do a greatest hits tour or just rest on the laurels is because of artistic integrity. And what you two seem to be saying is they're getting old and they're at risk of embarrassing themselves. So why don't they just slow down, give the fans what they want, and become a legacy band and headline all these festivals? Well, that would be offensive if you were to put that proposition to Bruce Dickinson and Steve Harris. How do you think they would react if you said that to them?
I think they'd are only danger of embarrassing themselves. It's just, I mean, from a personal point of view, we've had mediocre albums since Dance of Death, and people don't think that's particularly good. That is the last one I really enjoyed, apart from Book of Souls, which was really, really good. I mean, that is a fantastic album. It's almost classic Maiden. I must be, I'm giving this one a chance, but being the Maiden fan that I am, I should have been excited when it came out, but I wasn't really bothered. I don't think I like the sort of the samurai imagery that seemed to be prevalent in the artwork and everything,
I mean, I would say, I don't think it's about us sort of saying that we would say they're embarrassing themselves. I would say it's more a case of if by putting albums out that are sounding like old albums, they're weakening their legacy. So when people talk about Iron Maiden, if they had stopped bringing out two albums back, you'd look at their back catalogue and go, they've got a strong album following. As each new album they bring out, if there's nothing significant, no massive song on there's nothing that's going to take them. I mean, the Fear of the Dark album and stuff like that took them into the big headline in massive arenas, stadiums. They were doing it before, but they took it up to the point where they were headlining festivals from like the sort of late 80s, early 90s sort of era. And then when they were into that sort of stage where that's when they were at that pinnacle. Now, the thing is, they can hold it at that with their classic albums. Each time they bring out an album that's got just a load of filler on it, or a couple of sort of tracks, it weakens their brand, if you like. And we've seen that with other bands that keep just throwing albums out. And I get the artistic integrity, but I think they should do more along the lines of what Steve Harris does, go off and do British Lions and do a project in a smaller venues where you can have your creative outlet. Bruce Dickinson's done that in solo projects, but they also have so many other things in their lives apart from just playing in Iron Maiden. But Iron Maiden is their big thing that they're known for. So I kind of think when you're in your 60s, yes, you enjoy playing live on stage, but do you need to be spending half a year constantly touring and knackering yourself out? It's I don't know. Maybe that's what they want to do.
The financial rewards. The answer to that is yes.
But yeah, I mean, they get the financial rewards, but the question is, do they really need it right now? Unless they've got some really bad management in the past, and they need to pay some bills off. But they could easily they could do 20 shows a year on playing all the big headlining festivals, and easily cover off on most of the cost and enjoy themselves. And yeah, I don't want them to not start writing music, but I'm not sure putting out Iron Maiden albums that sound like. I mean, if you put that song and played it to me, I couldn't tell you what album it was off of. I could guess you a number of different albums and say it came off of any one of them, because it just sounds like generic Iron Maiden track to me. And it sounds like we're being really harsh on Iron Maiden, but we all like Iron Maiden.
Do you think that they actually, to be honest, the one thing with Iron Maiden, look at the bands they've influenced, like Melodeath. That is basically just death metal with Iron Maiden, isn't it? In its conception. Even black metal bands all cite Iron Maiden as an influence, like Darkthrone, for example, and Emperor. And I get the impression Iron Maiden don't listen to metal, and I've not. To them, Metallica was probably like as extreme as metal became in 1983, and they could probably just about like that. Anything after that, I just assume that they don't listen to and don't even like. Am I right on that, Andy?
Oh, I'd imagine you're probably right. I don't, they are the band that influences so many other genres and so many other bands. I'm sure they don't listen to metal and sort of try and follow the trend or pick up on any influence from anybody else. I mean, David said, do we want Iron Maiden to release an Iron Maiden album that sounds like everything else they've ever done? Well, yes, we would. We talked about Obituary in recent weeks. We want Obituary to sound like Obituary. I wanted Bolt Thrower to sound like Bolt Thrower. I don't like it when bands go too experimental and try and stretch the boundaries too much. So it's do we want progress or do we want what we love? It's a tough one. I mean, I'd like Iron Maiden to bring out albums that I love, and unfortunately that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
In the last few. But I mean, with everything else going on, all the music that is available, Iron Maiden have gone on the back burner for me. When I first listened, got into music, rock and metal, you had, there was a small avenue of music to go down. So my Iron Maiden albums have been like played to death, and I know them inside out, I know them backwards and forwards. But recently, because of the plethora of music available, they haven't had the airtime that they deserve. And I need to listen to Zenjetsu more. I should listen to more. As a lifelong Iron Maiden fan, I should listen to it more. I should appreciate it more. But I'm excited by other genres.
So the way you describe it,
brought me into this world of metal, and I really appreciate that, and I'll always love them. But are they my favourite band? Do I listen to them all the time? I'm afraid I don't.
The way you describe it is like supporting a football team that were formerly great, like Leeds United. That's the way you describe being an Iron Maiden fan now. Leeds were great in the 70s, weren't they? The 80s, patchy, the 90s. They won the league actually in 92. Massive club. But if you've seen the glory of it, what you're saying now is you don't even look forward to the new albums. There's almost like an obligation. It's like, got to add to my collection, buy some more.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hang on, he is a Tottenham fan, so he's used to that abject misery.
Actually, we could use Tottenham as an analogy because he did do the double in the 60s.
I mean, I'm sure a friend of mine who's even a bigger Maiden fan than I am. I mean, I think he said he bought £300 worth of releases for this new album. The box sets, the picture discs, and everything else. But I think he shares my views. He loves the classic stuff from way back. He bought this as a vinyl and CD and Maiden collector. He's probably not blown away by this new album either, but there's an obligation to complete his collection of Maiden reviews, which is all to his credit. I've got some, not anywhere near this guy, but it'd be interesting to know, for me to perhaps catch up with him and have a chat as to what he thinks of the latter material. I think I know, we have touched on it before, but it's part of life, isn't it? I think we could put this analogy to certain other bands, and perhaps it's a discussion point for another video. But yeah, I do want to still be a massive Iron Maiden fan, but it's because of time obligations, the availability of other material, and my love for other genres that are more heavier and extreme, that they've kind of gone by the wayside, which is unfortunate.
There we go. Well, on that bombshell there from Andy, if you like this video, please do subscribe, click the bell icon, like and share. We'll all see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.